Okay, welcome to the Doing It With Purpose podcast, where we are shooting our first round playoff high school game day, and we thought it was fitting today to set up right here at the top of the pit with a legendary guest, the statistic man, the announcer, the town manager, Mr. Jay Hendrix. And so we want to welcome you on the show with, I am your host, Cornelius T. Summers, a.k.a. Lil Cuddy. I almost left that out. And our co-host, or the other host who beats me up most of the time, Greg Peterson, a.k.a. The D. And we just want to thank you all for joining us today as we prepare to take on the Columbia Capitals. And so, Mr. Jay, welcome.
Well, thank y'all for having me tonight. It's I've always made the joke that I've got a face made for radio. I've done radio for years. This face is not going to win any awards, but fun to be here tonight. And it's playoff football. That's exciting.
Yes, sir. We're about to make you famous, Jay.
We're about to make you famous. We're about to put you in some situations. Who knows, man? Who knows which college team or NFL team is out there watching, and they need the voice of Mr. Jay Hendrix. Again, welcome to the show. Mr. Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Batesburg-Leesville, born and raised, class of 1992 here at BNL.
Okay.
And my high school job, I worked at WBLR Radio, and so I've been involved with the football broadcast on WBLR since really the 11th grade, I guess. I was working at the station then, and then since then been a part of the broadcast crew. A little bit of on-air statistics. Statistics are my background. When I was in college, I did an internship with the Charlotte Knights baseball team and learned the media relations side. So the game notes you've got in front of you, that's kind of a outcropping of that. So
this is a dissertation.
Yeah, this right here is Batesburg-Leesville, all-time, everything. Anything you want to know, it's right here for us, man.
So it became a passion back in the late 90s. During that Phil Strickland run of greatness. And I was kind of I was curious about the history, and so I just started doing research and took it all the way back to the creation of BNL High School in 1920. So we've kind of documented it. The first opponent in BNL history was Columbia High School.
Oh, wow.
So,
dropping dimes over there, man.
Yeah, they beat us up pretty good that day, but it's just a passion, and along the way have learned about the history of Twin City High School as well. Got to put together some reunions for the 79 championship team.
Wow.
It was a cool one for the 66, when 1966 Batesburg-Leesville and Twin City both played for the state. They lost, but both played, so we did a joint reunion, and that was kind of a cool thing, not just football, but just social, and bringing those two teams together. They never got to play together due to segregation, but that night they were on the field together, and got on the front page of the state newspaper, and was really kind of a cool moment. And so I remember one of the guys from Twin City, he was a sheriff's deputy, and he was quizzing me because he didn't know that I was legit. He goes, all right, well, who was this, and who did we play? And I'm like, so I passed the test, and then he showed up for the reunion. But that it's just a passion. Born and raised here, I bleed purple and gold, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Here.
Absolutely.
And we need to be writing this stuff down.
Some of it's here, but if I'm correct, I've cut hair all week and I've studied. But tonight's matchup, Batesburg leads the series 12-11.
Yes.
And there was a run in the early 2000s where Columbia won 3 consecutive against Batesburg.
Yeah, those were some painful losses.
Playoffs over there one day.
They beat us
big boy
3 out of 4 years, I think it was. And they had some great teams, and we scored a touchdown right at the end of, I think that was 2004, and missed the extra point that would have won the game with 14 seconds left. It goes to overtime. We lost. And, so there were some tough losses there against Columbia. I don't think this Columbia team is near that level. So they've kind of struggled this year. They're 5-5, but you can't overlook them. But I think this is a game BNL should win.
Handily.
Handily, yes.
And a few of the guys, speaking of the guys, a few of them are coming through at this moment.
Yeah, they walking up now.
They're walking up, and so
first round.
First round of the guys getting ready to take the field. But with all of that being said, it's playoffs.
Yeah.
This isn't a, I joked with one of the guys that came to get his haircut. I said, what you all have partaken in, and he was like, what do you mean? I said, that run to be undefeated, the only way that you make it is if you win a state championship.
Yeah.
And not to put pressure on him, but to give him the realistic expectation of this isn't 2 more games left in the regular season. You can lose 1 or 2 and still make a run. You're running.
This is it. Yeah.
This is the run.
It's win or go home.
And so, with you following Batesburg-Leesville as close as you have, grasping the statistics, what do you see in this team that reminds you of some of those great caliber teams?
Well, you think about, just talking about some of those undefeated teams, and of course, now, Greg, what year did you graduate?
85.
85. I knew you were right
wasn't
there.
undefeated. We won the conference, I think.
Yeah, you were that 84 team with Coach Porter. I remember I was in middle school with that 86 team. And no, those were grown men back then.
Yeah.
And we got some guys on this team that kind of remind you of that.
Oh, yeah.
You look at Madre Wooden, and he's a beast.
Oh, monster,
he's a
monster.
That's not just a little skinny running back that's fast.
We call him Jay Hendrix Jr.
Yeah, he will put a licking on you. You better come ready to hit him. So they kind of remind me some of those 80s teams. That 86 team. You had Russell back in the backfield slinging it around. Tanner Watkins can sling it similar to that.
Yes.
You had great receivers on that team. We don't really have the size. We don't have a Junior Wigfall or Nate Jones, but we got more of the speed guys with
Marcus
KD
Chestnut,
Marcus, So, it's similar to that 86 team to have that diversity. You talk about 95, we talked about Ty Baltnight earlier, and Sherman Scott in the backfield, and then that night at Barnwell slinging the ball around, Barnwell, they were going to stop Sherman Scott. They were not going to let Sherman win that game.
Bird went crazy.
Chris
Burgess went crazy.
Rodriguez,
they went crazy.
And Randolph Scott.
You Pat Burgess in there too. I think. So they that night, those receivers hadn't had to do it all year because Sherman had been so great. But to get out there under the lights at Barnwell, and they put on a show.
Man, they mollywopped them people down there, man.
And so you said something about you brought up the legendary Russell Johnson. We call him Big Greaves, right? His son KJ, he's dominated Columbia as a quarterback.
He had some big games against Columbia over there.
But something I want to throw in there about Tanner Watkins. The 2 passes he threw for touchdowns in Saluda, he surpassed Russell Johnson in one of those records.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he's only 107 yards short away from
Bishop Cannon.
Bishop Cannon, look.
Okay, yeah.
That's our cousin. So, Tanner has, in his 3 years, I call him little Trevor Lawrence. That's what he reminds me of.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. The hair doesn't always fall out the helmet, but in terms of his running capability and his passing ability, I looked at his junior year when he first started, and he didn't have 1,000 yards that season. I think he's right at the same level last year as a junior, and then this year as a senior, but he's got 5 less interceptions. He threw 8 interceptions as a sophomore year, 8 in his junior, and there's only 3.
3 this year.
And the 3 that he's thrown this year, the one down at Strong Thurman was just, hey, the half is getting ready to go, so let me see what I can get. The other ones may have been kind of caused by receivers, but he's made some smart decisions, which I think is why Batesburg-Leesville.
That's why we're 10-0 right now. He's been taking care of the ball.
Absolutely.
Exactly. It starts with your quarterback play, and then, like you said, little Derrick Henry, Madre Wooden, and then, I'm ready to see a little bit more from KD.
Yeah.
He's been kind of quiet the last couple of weeks, and I'm hoping that's been a coach's plan. And so him and Jamarius Clark, we call him Jay Clark. It's hard to pronounce his first name, but I'm hoping to see those guys start to explode here.
And with a name like Jay, he's gonna be great. So
can't beat the name.
No,
you can't beat the name, man. Yeah.
Well, and I think last week, and I don't know exactly what was going on, but we were just off in that passing game.
Yes, sir.
Tanner seemed to have some high throws, and got to give a lot of credit to Thurman. They were really
their front four was
they were bringing it. Absolutely.
Their front four reminds you probably of that 86 team.
They were tough, and so. I think we really wanted to get KD involved last week, but it just didn't click. And, you may not need KD to be special tonight, but and maybe not even next week. But if you get the 3rd round with probably a road trip to Clinton,
I hope not, man. I hope Thurman pulled this thing off.
Well, although Thurman looked pretty tough last week.
They actually took our Saluda game plan and used it against us, man. That's what I thought.
You saw the possession? They had the ball 31 minutes.
They chewed the clock up.
Yeah. And that's what we did to Saluda like a couple weeks.
And when you can shorten that game and give that offensive powerhouse less possessions, that was their game plan, and they executed well. And and this is just me, their coach making that decision to go for the fake punt late. That wasn't a football move to win that game. He was trying to get the points to to get the
he wanted an easy road. He wanted Saluda to slide.
He wanted to be where we are. Well, actually, they'd have beaten us. They'd have been number one. They would have been
by 13.
If they'd have been by
14. Yeah,
we would have been.
We'd been 2.
Yeah,
we'd have Saluda spot. Yeah,
I take Mid Carolina tonight.
Oh yeah,
we beat them 48-0 earlier this year.
But I think I totally agree with you on that call to go for it or whatever. Because you thinking, man, it's no way. Everybody from Batesburg was pretty much thinking, because I talked to Monroe, when the play happened, whatever, I was like, man, this got to be the craziest play I done seen in my life in football. But I'm thinking, I don't fault him for that play right there, because it was a great call. Because if we're not thinking about it, he get that first down and they go down and score. They got first place. Yeah. But I just fault him for the 3 plays before that, because he just ran into the line.
Yeah. And then I'm wondering, is that the play? If I need 3-4 yards, is the fake punt the one to do it?
Exactly. Especially if you go back and look at some of the reels and the footage that we grabbed. 2 and 7 was killing us underneath.
Yeah.
They would run a little drag route or post route, and then the H-back, whoever went in motion, kind of leaked out and got 5-6 yards. So there was several other play calls that could have been made to really get the first down. But again, Monday morning quarterback type stuff. I don't know what was going through the coach's head. I know he wanted the first down, and that BNLD. Speaking of our front four, what is that? So when I see our front four now, being that I was away in the military for years and years and years, I remember the front four of 95. I could list a few of them, but I go back to I have some older cousins, your Fuji Cooks and your Fred Marson. we have some guys on that front four that are resembling that, and they're just juniors. You got big Travis Gates, we call him Tank, Quan Corley, big loss as a senior to lose John Sawyer, and
we got somebody to replace. Well, not replace him, but we got some guys that can step in there.
And then on that other end, Wooten.
Wooten, but Wooten's coming back great.
And when we're losing, Millhouse has been playing.
We're losing one of my favorite players, Christian Burkett.
Oh man,
he is an absolute dog on the field.
He's a wild man.
I remember last year when he made the big tackle against JT Lott up there in Saluda and caused him to fumble, and we won in the I think double overtime or either overtime.
I think it was just overtime. Yeah.
But Christian Burkett, he made some comments a couple of weeks ago and says, I just want to go to Saluda and take over their trap. It's some song that these younger kids listen to. But he's like my mentor in the military told me, it's not bragging if you do what you said you're going to do. And he's done it. Yeah. That defense if it wasn't for the defense last week, Batesburg might be looking at a different opponent tonight.
Well, you look at now granted, we've had some cupcakes along the way this year. But they've only allowed 7 points a game on the season, and that's remarkable. In this day and age with teams throwing the ball around, you don't see that kind of defense these days. But they've done a great job. Yeah, they kept us in the game last week. Without that effort, we might be in that 2 spot. So. You probably were in the military in '99, but
I graduated class of '99. Okay. I was here,
but this was fall of '99.
Fall of '99. I was in the military.
So that was
Brian Sheely, Quentin Langford, and those guys.
And then that front four, that was Josh Ergel, Jonathan Rogers,
Tyler,
Gary Adams, Bubba.
So
that one was a great defensive front there that year '99. So we've been blessed. A couple years later, you had somebody like Tobias Wigfall that made Shrine Bowl, and there's always been some dogs, but to have 4 of them up there that just do it like they're doing right now, it's special.
And we want to give a big shout out to John Sawyer for being selected for North-South.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know. He graduated with my daughter, Patrick Schweigert. He didn't make the North-South?
He did not. He was in the Border Bowl.
Okay, I know he went to the Border Bowl.
Yeah, because actually I think your daughter and they both were.
They cheered.
I think I got a picture of them and put it in the newspaper.
Yep, you did.
So,
you did.
But they were there at the Border Bowl over in the Augusta area. This is the first in 5 years. Keyshawn Williams was the last North-South selection.
Okay.
Out of Newberry graduate.
And then also I think this week Jamarius Clark was named to the Border Bowl.
Correct.
So a couple of those seniors getting some recognition. But
John Sawyer got it selected as well, didn't he? Or is it just North?
Yeah, he's in the Border Bowl too.
Yeah, he's in
the
Border
Bowl.
He got
both.
Okay.
So I didn't know you'd play in both.
But but I think it's 2 different. It's not the same time.
It's not the same.
It's not the same time. It's a couple different.
The Tyleek Mathis from Saluda, when my daughter that senior year, he played in the North-South and then he played in the Border Bowl as well.
I don't think we've had anybody do both. But
hey, congratulations to John Sawyer again. And so is it anything you can tell us about this Columbia team?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask, man.
I just really looking at the scores, I really haven't dug a lot of in depth there. You know, they got roughed up by the good teams. You know, Fairfield Central beat them 48-0 last week.
I saw that.
And the Griffins are going to be tough. You know, we would not face Fairfield Central until the Upper State Championship. And the great thing would be it's in Panther Stadium.
Yeah.
But you know, just kind of looking at the scores, you know, they lost 48-0 last week. They lost 34-0 to Chester, who is hosting Thurman tonight. They ended up being the 2 seed out of that conference. You know, the teams that they beat were C.A. Johnson, Pelion. They beat them 35-22. You give up 22 points to that Pelion team.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, you and I might could have gone out there and scored a couple of points, but
with these
and I'm looking at the Wagner Sally game. They only won 15-0.
I just, you know, and granted that was a long time ago. That was early in the season, but you know, just based off of that, and I know that the coaches have done a whole lot more research than we have, but
yes, sir.
I'm not too worried about Columbia, and I know I'm saying that. At least we're not saying that to the guys.
And everything that we are saying, we're talking football. It's nothing personal to Columbia. It's nothing personal. But we know what we have. We know what the scores say. But at the end of the day, we still have to play Panther football. And it starts tonight at the kickoff at 7:30.
You know, last year we kind of felt confident with Chesney coming to town, and that didn't go our way. And you mentioned, you know, going back to, I think it was KJ was quarterback. Oh, goodness. What was that, 2010, I think. 2010, we were 7-2. We go to Thurman in the last week of the season to play for region. We lost. Thurman was very good. No shame there. We come back. We play Sherrall in the first round, and you know they were like 3-7. We're gonna beat them. And we put the ball on the ground like 6 times that night, and we lost 21-10 or something. And you know, so you can't take it for granted.
No, not at all, man.
And you know, I've made the comments. My son's a junior in high school. He's not on the football team. He runs cross country and plays golf. But you know, it's easy for us to sit there and say, act like you've been there or whatever. But these kids haven't. You know, we are currently on a 5-game playoff losing streak, which is the longest in school history. You think about these teams the last couple of years, we haven't had winning records. You know, sometimes it's, you know, us old people, you know, we remember those great teams. You know, these kids, they were what? Gosh, back in 2013, they were maybe in first grade or kindergarten. The last time we won a state. So these are young kids that are kind of, they know the history, they know the expectation, but they really haven't been here. So they're learning, and you know, Christian is probably one of the most excitable guys on the field. Sometimes it's like tone it down, tone it down. But
I tell him, Christian, go do your thing, man. Go do your thing.
Just don't get a penalty. Just don't get a penalty.
But going back to what you were saying about us pretty much talking down about Columbia. We're not necessarily talking down about Columbia, like Cornelius said. Hey, we know what we got and what we do or whatever. And going back to our year, 84, 85 or whatever, we pretty much, Mid Carolina was about the best team around the world. They ended up winning the state, and I didn't know this right here until, 8-9 years ago or whatever. They won the state, my senior year or whatever. We went to Mid Carolina and beat them handily. We come home and we got Southside, Russell Johnson, Aaron Waters, Andrew Hall, Dickie Wigfall. We got all them guys, man. We come here and we got the big head. Because we think, we about to beat the brakes off of Southside, man. We going to the state championship. And end up losing down here to Southside, I think
13-12.
13-12, by 1 point.
Wow.
And that ended up being Coach Porter's last game.
year,
And you know, but you know, I draw some similarities. That year, y'all took some lumps with Russell. And, you know, he took over midway through the year.
Midway through the season. Chad was playing quarterback.
And then they made the switch to Russell, and you know, he's a sophomore. He's going to take some lumps. But you think about all of those quarterbacks through the years that got those 3 years of experience. Tanner's an example tonight.
Exactly.
You know, you think of Jaquil Chandler that was on the 13 team. He took his lumps in that 1-10 season in 2011. But he ended up being the key guy. I mean, he ran that flex bone offense of Jerry Brown. He was phenomenal. So sometimes you take your lumps with the young kid. You're going to win games you didn't think, but then you lose one you thought you should have.
And speaking of coaches, if we can kind of shift a little bit, we can't go any further, in my opinion, without thinking about Coach Lawson. I mean, what he's done. I mean, I didn't play. I was in the band. Charlie Moon, my mentor. And so, with all that being said, though, Coach Strickland was my driver's ed teacher. He'd come in with his soda can and his dip, and come on, you, let's go. But his coaching mentality, his drive, his passion for winning, he built a winning program. And Coach McGinnis was my 9th and 10th grade Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and he came along, and Coach Woolbright and some of these others, Coach Brown, I think, somewhere while I was away. But Coach Lawson has come, and it took him some time to build a program. And so he has built a 10-0 program.
Well, my observation there is just the conditioning and the preparation. The new gymnasium, the new weight room are phenomenal. And you got to give your credit. Well, the citizens that voted for the bond referendum, the school district for their support in building that facility. That facility and what has been done, with the football stadium, with the conditioning, has certainly built that. You've got guys that are bigger, faster, stronger than they were 2-3 years ago. We just didn't have that level of conditioning, and I think they've really toned it up there, and that's paying off now. And when you see, you could see it at Saluda specifically. We had the time of possession. We wore them down. We ran them into. But even last week, one of my concerns late was we had been on the field. You mentioned 31-minute time of possession.
Yes, sir.
And, this isn't college football where you got a 2-platoon, you're rotating those defense linemen. They're out there every play. And so those guys, they were still tough there in the fourth quarter and were able to hold them to that last field goal attempt. So,
and you started to see, as I went back and looked at some of the film, you started to see Big 65, Big Travis Gates. You started to see him kind of wear down. You started to see Quan not necessarily take a play off, but he wasn't as energetic as he was maybe the first quarter. And you definitely saw it in the secondary. Jay Clark with a few plays where their number 11, Sewell, got behind him. And it's just, again, like you said, this isn't the college atmosphere where I can send in another 3-star, 4-star guy and say, hey, you take a break. I tell we joke with Jay Clark, but he has to be Travis Hunter for the BNL Panthers.
That's what we call him, Travis Hunter, man. But it goes back to what you're saying about the conditioning and the working out or whatever. Because I've been around here pretty much all my life, man. Whatever. And my whole thing was when Coach Wilbright was here, because Camden was playing, and I was thinking like, when we go up against like Gilbert and Lexington and all those schools we were playing. We played them kids in Little League football, and we would kill them. We played in middle school, we would kill them. But then when they get to varsity, they look like they done got bigger, stronger, and all that. And our kids were staying the same size. They were getting bigger. They was big, getting big and all that. But it wasn't getting any stronger because we didn't have that facility to work out like that. And we got it now, and it's showing on the field. And
because we had the talent, we just didn't have the resources to improve the talent. So
and obviously I like history. I'll always like to look at history and see trends. And, you go back to the 1920s, and I know that I'm the old guy here. When I talk about the 20s, that's 100 years ago. But when they built the school that we went to as the middle school, that was built in 1921. And in the 20s, we won a baseball state championship. It was a single classification. We beat Greenville. And then we turned around and we won 2 Class B football championships. So you kind of had an early golden era when we had elite facilities that were better than anybody else. And then you fast forward to the mid-'70s and you built the high school where we are now. And what happens to that basketball program? It takes off, and all of a sudden you're winning the state championship. And
Floyd Creed.
Floyd Creed. Floyd Creed goes down as probably my favorite player of all time. And, so you saw the golden era in basketball. And you also saw that resurgence in football, 79 championship, the teams in the 80s when we had the elite facilities. They got older, and we kind of slipped. Now we have kind of rebuilt, and we don't have a new school, but you've got a brand new gym. You got the weight room, the upgrades here at the stadium. So I think you're going to see that resurgence. You're going to see that third golden era, if you will. And I'm being optimistic, but
Tide of time is back.
I think it's here.
Absolutely.
It's not crock pot. I'm sorry, it's not a microwave, but it's a crock pot process. And Coach Lawson, I was
wondering where you were going with crock pot. I didn't know if you were getting hungry over there.
No. I was just saying, it's taking some time. It takes a lot. It takes longer to build than it does to tear down. And Coach Lawson, just in 3 years, I go back and I look at some of his records at Union and Hemingway and some of those other places that he's been at. Lawrence. And I looked at it and I said, I see a trend. He gets there and he you know, he takes what he has and he builds upon it, and the next thing you know, you go back and match up in his biography here, those state championships start to roll around. And so with the facilities, with the talent that I think Batesburg-Leesville produces, with the coaching staff he has around you, and just the support of the community. And that's been something that Greg and I, we had a generational conversation or a podcast before we even thought of the game day atmosphere and before we reached out to Coach Gambrell about joining this superb team here. And we said we just want to be able to bring light and life back to the community in the Batesburg-Leesville football team. And we didn't know it would get this big. We didn't know it would take off like it has taken off.
Definitely, it's taken off.
And we've just been proud of the accomplishments of these young men.
Yeah. Well, y'all's podcast is taking off, and it's kind of timed perfectly with the excitement level with the program. And there's already people trickling in, and I have no idea what time it is, but we're closing in on.
We still got about 9 minutes.
Yeah. So it's not even 7 o'clock yet. We're still 40 minutes away from kickoff. The crowd's coming in.
Coming in.
Oh yeah.
We had a crew in. They're out-of-staters. They're working, helping us out with the town. They're through AmeriCorps, which is a federal program, and so there's 3 kids that are coming tonight. They're 20-something years old, but they were excited about hearing about the football.
Yeah.
So one of them's from Virginia. I think another one's from Wisconsin, and one from Texas. So they were like, hey, we want to come and see it. They're staying near town, and they want to come check it out. So I've talked with Lou Bajak some with the state newspaper, and they've picked up on that energy, and it's one thing to go 4-0, 5-0, and you kind of beat up some cupcakes, but now that we've been tested and now you're at the playoffs, and it's crunch time now.
They getting jacked down there.
Oh yeah, you can hear them in the background.
The pit.
I had to run up and put my phone. My phone is the source of music. And I was told to play it loud. They wanted to. Here's our playlist. Play it loud. So so they're fired up tonight, and I hope that this is a blowout, kind of like we had some games earlier in the year. Maybe not 60-0. I love to have a little bit more competition than that. But hopefully this is a game we can just
sit back and relax and
exactly.
prepare.
So with that being said, so give us your score prediction on the game.
Man, you're gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go 35-0. I really don't think this defense is gonna give up anything. We might score more. But I think it's very possible if they want to, that Tanner could set the all-time passing record tonight. Bishop
107 yards.
Something like that. I thought he had a chance last week, but he only got 15, so that didn't happen. But it's possible if they want to, he could certainly get that record tonight. It's always kind of bittersweet whenever you get a new kid that passes somebody you knew from a few years ago. But Bishop led us to a state championship game in 2016. He had passed, along the way. He passed, this year, Ty Baldnight. You mentioned Russell and KJ Johnson. And there was one other that I missed.
Gerald Jones.
Gerald's a single season.
Yeah, he's a single season pass. And he might catch him with these touchdowns, though. I think he need like 6 or 7.
Yeah, he could catch him. I was talking with Gerald a couple weeks ago, and he was kind of worried. He's like,
and shout out to Twin Shot Productions, Gerald and Jamar, because they have been instrumental in helping the community realize what Panther football is all about. They got some phenomenal work. Follow those guys, support them, and I think they have the same mindset as us. It's about the kids.
They tell the story about the game on Friday nights. When you miss the game on Friday night, be looking for their recap to drop. I think it's Monday night,
Monday by 6 o'clock.
Yes. They tell the whole story, man.
Yeah, I've got paper, and I might be the PA voice, but they do a phenomenal job getting all the video and the images and really kind of making you feel like you're
right
on
there,
the field with it.
And we've even got some messages from individuals who aren't in the Batesburg-Leesville area anymore, and they're still Panthers at heart, but they're afar. And we get messages in our inbox all the time that says, thank you guys for what you're doing. And again, it's all about the kids, it's about the program, and just being able to support from the avenue that we have. And so,
Well, when we did a reunion back in January. We did a reunion for the last year of the gym and trying to bring some old basketball guys together.
Yeah.
Like one of my classmates, William Jones, he came from Dallas. And Jarvis Wigfall and I graduated. We grew up playing together, riding bikes and being kids. Yeah. I used to beat him in basketball, but he started taking me out. I used to play some hoops. I'm a little bit fat and out of shape now.
You ain't by yourself, Jay.
Yeah, I know.
So listen, this is going to be my recommendation to Coach Gambrell. They need to have an over.
That probably ain't gonna happen.
45.
That probably ain't
over 40. You got 2 brand new knees. You always telling CJ how you still got it.
Oh, I'll beat CJ, man. That's easy. I'll beat CJ.
Y'all will play the younger guys. Y'all will play the younger guys. It'll be half court because you can't do full
We're
court.
going to have to play horse or something.
I might try that, Jay.
Horseshoes?
I don't think we need to be. Nah. It ain't going to be full court.
Ain't going to be no running. No running,
Listen,
Jay.
I'm going to have a camera. That's all I want to do.
Running.
They better have oxygen on the sideline and an ambulance waiting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it could be ugly, but although that knife, you're talking about Floyd Creed. Floyd looked like he could still get out there.
Oh,
Floyd,
he looked like he might be.
You know what? He's my golf partner. I can't play. I take him on the golf course.
Absolutely.
And his sister, Miss Alice.
Yeah,
I'll take him.
They are addicted to some golf. So.
They are. They definitely are.
And that night was special. And I will say this: the whole Creed family was there. Miss Mabel was there. She passed away a few months ago, and that was special. She came over to me and she was like, "It was like the old times." Being in the gym, and of course, Alice was a politician working the crowd. I don't think Alice even saw the court. She was just talking to everybody. But Miss Mabel was a sweet, sweet lady. And just a great family. And Bam had passed away. He passed away the same time my dad did. So my mom and Miss Mabel had talked some, and I had talked with Floyd and Alice some, just kind of commiserating. And one story, I get roped into volunteering for stuff all the time, and we were doing a recycle day here in the parking lot, and I got paired up with a couple guys at the Goodwill area. They're just they're dropping off tires and they're doing all this other stuff. People bringing some old stuff and dropping it off at Goodwill, and we got to talking sports. You get a bunch of guys just like us sitting around talking sports. Well, Floyd comes by and he was donating some of his dad's old clothes. And so when he leaves, I'm talking about Floyd and playing at Furman, and I'm like, he played against Michael Jordan. And they're like, oh, really, really? So Floyd comes back through again, got a second load, and so I get him started talking, and he goes, well, you won't believe what I found. And he pulls out his phone, and when they were cleaning up, found a newspaper clipping. He was being guarded by Michael Jordan.
Oh, man.
So, and it's like, Furman's Floyd Creed guarded by UNC's Michael Jordan. Wow. And I'm like, dude, how cool would that be to have like that? I'd make a poster out of that. But I tried to find, I reached out to some newspaper people, tried to find an original, but I never could find it. But, he still got the clipping, and how cool is, he scored against Jordan. He didn't outscore Jordan, but.
I can see that.
So, your prediction is 35-0.
What you got?
Greg?
I'm gonna go.
You're gonna make Greg go next. Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 42-0, man. I don't think the defense is gonna give up anything. I think only thing gonna make me go 42 is the fact that the guys that get in after we pull the starters out, they pretty much say they're gonna want to score. Man. So I'm gonna go 42-0. I got one question for you before you go, Cornelius. So when we were playing basketball back 84, 85 or whatever, it was a guy that would always be at the game. I don't think he was recording, but a tall guy, white guy, he would always be at every one of our games, man. You remember who that was?
Ooh. Jimmy Hoover.
No, it wasn't Jimmy Hoover. It wasn't Jimmy Hoover.
Yeah, Jimmy was coaching the girls at that time.
Man, I was trying to remember his name. I couldn't think his name for nothing in the world. He followed us every game we played.
You want to try to find some film? Is that what you want to?
Well, I could use some film. I might not need no film, but I might think I'm back.
By the way, if the band doesn't perform at halftime, and I have no idea if they will, I've run it by them. When we did the 1979 reunion, we made a DVD, and there's about a 12-minute highlight video.
Yeah.
And so we're going to play that on the video board at halftime. That's better than me DJing a dance party and having Lamont Rowe out there dancing to Whitney Houston. That was awesome, but we can do better. And so if the band doesn't perform, we're going to play some 79 highlights.
That's what's up, man.
But I do have from the '88. I've got the '88 championship and the Upper State championship basketball.
Yeah, basketball, yeah.
But
Okay.
Coach Phillips might have some of those films, and that's one of the things Coach Gambrell and I've talked about is there's some old game film that we need to get digitized and be able to have a good archives. But all right, now we got to hear Cornelius.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I did the research. 12 to 11 in terms of the series. I think, you know, these guys took a beat in the last 2 weeks. They blew through Saluda, but it was still a tough challenge. Thurman was probably the toughest challenge this group of guys has faced in their season. I think we break the playoff losing streak tonight. I go with, I think I'm going to go with Mr. J and say 35-0. But at the same time, we can't conclude without, so you're choosing Batesburg, and something that Lee Corso has always done. We got it from college game day, high school game day here, and I just have to take off my hat and put on
go with the mascot
go
head.
with the mascot here and say go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
Yeah.
Go Panthers.
Yeah.
Go Panthers.
Hey.
And this is what doing with purpose podcast.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it with passion and you're not doing it with purpose,
You're not
as
doing
Greg
it
would
at
say,
all.
don't do it at all.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. J.
Hey, thank y'all for having me. Been a pleasure.
Oh,
Been
yeah.
a pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
So, anytime. Looking forward to it. Thanks.